Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. Very pleased to have you with us. Kind of a dreary afternoon, but man, a guy that no rain in his life right now, only sunshine for the defensive line coach of the LSU Tigers. He is Bill Johnson, a man who's a demon through and through, and who got to help his old D lineman, Ed Orgeron, out for the season on kind of short notice. But he made it happen, and ultimately they end up winning the championship. Coach Johnson, how the heck are you, man?
Doing great. Been a fun last number of hours here since Monday night. Played a great team in Clemson, but our guys sort of got hit in the mouth early. We sort of put our got our wits about us and came back and played a great game.
Yeah, let's start there because Dave Aranda mentioned post-game that it was almost a little bit of paralysis by analysis, right? You had so much time. You had 16 days between the games. He started second-guessing his calls, getting things too complicated. He said there after it got to 17-7, he said, you know what, let's take out all this complications. Let's simplify things. Tell me about that process as y'all worked through what was going to work.
We had a big list of calls there that we were going to try to be a little bit more multiple, having that time. But as it turned out, we settled down. We just sort of settled and played our base defenses. Our kids were able to see the formations faster, and we got our feet in the ground, our cleats in the ground, and I think we settled down and played much better from there. We did a really good job on third down. I think they were 1 of 11 on third down. We had spent a lot of time on third down, and I think that was the difference in the game.
The way the defense performed the last really 5-6 weeks of the season, I mentioned before the game in my preview, I thought that the defense was the most unheralded group between all of the groups that are out there. Clemson's offense, Clemson's defense, LSU offense, a lot of talk about all of them, not as much talk about your defense. Tell me about the last month and to 6 weeks of the season and how y'all played.
Well, you know what? I think we improved. There's no doubt we improved each week, especially there in the middle part of the season. You know what we did? We did a great job, and Coach O did a great job of selling ongoing skill development. All right, and we spent a lot of time just with fundamentals, tackling. We didn't tackle very well early in the season. We spent a lot of time there about the first or second month of the season. Once we got back into practices of doing more tackling, angles, things like that, and they really showed up, and our team got better. Our team gelled, our defense gelled. We had a couple of games that we won and played well and didn't give up that many points, but gave up a lot of yards. So we sort of just got better as we went on. The guys worked hard. I tell you, we came in and every Monday had a great fundamental day, and over time it paid off.
Talking to Bill Johnson, the defensive line coach for LSU. And, Coach, tell me about the communication that goes on because you're a D-line coach, but your head coach is also a D-line coach, and he was your former D-lineman. Talk us through game day as the game's progressing. What's the communication like between you, Aranda, Coach O? What's that like as y'all collaborate to try to figure out what to do?
Well, Coach O's sort of more involved in the whole process. He can't take his eyes off the game. He has to be able to handle the clock management. So we just sort of handle it as a defense. The young man that was injured, Dennis Johnson, did a great job. He got better as the year went on as far as his health was concerned. He was able to really help me with the scheme, how these kids learned. And, we just communicate. Once the series is over, we all group together. We trade what we saw in that series, and then we, talk about the adjustments we may want to make in those series, and we go back down to our position groups, and we install those things or talk about those things and try to improve as the game goes on.
Bill Johnson, defensive line coach for LSU. You kind of been in the professional ranks for a while, Coach. You got to Atlanta in 2001, hadn't been back in college since then. Tell me about what it's like to coach college kids again.
It was very refreshing, if you want to know the truth. That was really good. I've spent 19 years in the NFL. I'm about to be 65 years old. I'm getting on back in, and I really felt good about the fact that I was able to come back and give some things that I've learned, through the years, and trust me, I learn something every year. I've learned things from these coaches down here that I didn't know in the NFL, and the game's a little bit different. game's a lot faster pace. People go fast. A lot of checking at the line more than I thought. I thought maybe more so than NFL. So it was refreshing to come back and just share some things that I'd learned, especially fundamentally in D-line play, and really learn some things from these young coaches on some new innovative things. So it's been a great experience for me.
Bill Johnson, D-line coach for the LSU Tigers, the national champions. All right, let's back all the way up, Coach. You get let go by the Rams. You think you're going to maybe get to spend a season off. Ed Orgeron, you go and visit Coach O down at LSU. It turns out Dennis Johnson, as you mentioned, their D-line coach, has an injury, a freak injury on the basketball court. They need someone who's got some mobility to get out there and coach. Walk me through that conversation with your old defensive lineman at Northwestern State and how it came about that he hired you.
Well, he was having to do a lot of the stuff, and he's the head coach. He can't be with that defensive line all the time. And bless Dennis's heart, he was playing basketball and he slipped and tore a patella tendon, and he was trying to get up, and slipped on the other one and broke and tore the other one. A very freak accident. It was a tough accident. It was very, very bad injury, and so he was in a wheelchair for a month or so there. And I think Ed just felt like they were going to get behind in some of his duties. So, I came down here to visit. We just had a good conversation. We talked and went in a meeting and listened to Ed talk to the meeting. And then I got up and spoke to the kids a little bit. And then after that, he just said, "Look, man, I need your help, and I'd like for you to help us, and we'll see where it goes from here." And it was something that I really couldn't turn down, because if a guy needs help, he needs help. So. Thank goodness I did it. I've enjoyed it. We hadn't talked yet of how this thing's gonna go forward, but it's a great experience to be able to be from Louisiana and to win a world championship and a national championship, the state title here in a same state is just unbelievable. I mean, my career has been so lucky and so blessed, it's hard for me to believe.
Coach, you are, I don't know, I don't have any research in front of me, so I have no idea, but you won a state championship as a high schooler, you won a national championship now at LSU, and you won a Super Bowl with the New Orleans Saints. I got to imagine the fraternity of people who've won all three levels of titles in the same state has to be pretty small. You mentioned your career's been blessed. Brother, that's as good as it gets, man.
Yeah, for an old position coach and as a defensive line coach, I've ran the circuit there. It's just a dream come true. I didn't realize that until about a week before the game, and I started getting texts from random, just people about, if you do this, this will be this, this will be that. And then since the game, I've had other people reach out and talk about it and all like that. And I never had any thought about that. I just didn't. I just was thinking, hey, look, we got a chance to win the national championship here at LSU as the weeks went on, So, but when you start Patrick, when you sit down and start thinking about it, it's been a great journey.
Let's talk about the journey for your head coach, because you knew him when he was a college kid, and the stories have come out. We all know in Natchitoches about the wild days of Ed Orgeron, but the stories started coming out, and it was revealed that you were one of his biggest champions when Coach Sam Goodwin, who had just come in, was maybe looking to dismiss him from the team. You championed him. He ultimately goes on. You help him get his first job in coaching. And then, he repays you by bringing you back in at this point. What has it been like watching the growth? Because I know as a coach, molding young men and watching them mature and turn into good members of society is one of the great rewards of the profession. What's it been like watching him as a former rabble-rouser and guy who would get arrested and was in the bar fights and all that stuff back in his early days, watching him mature into what he is now?
Well, myself personally, I would like to think one of my strengths in coaching is knowing people. And from day one with Coach O, as a young player, I knew that he had the passion for the game. And I knew that he had toughness, and I knew he was respectful, and I knew. Now, we as all young people, make many mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I know I did. I made the same mistakes he made, in Natchitoches, Louisiana. the going out and getting in fights and like it was back in the 70s. And you know, at that point, I was starting to realize that that's not the way to go. And listen, all Coach Orgeron had to do is learn to get all of his priorities in order. And when he did, you know, he has such a passion and such talent that people don't realize as far as communicating, as far as motivating, as far as organization, that this does not surprise me one bit. This does not surprise me one bit. Now, I may be the only one, but it doesn't surprise me from one bit. I know what it takes. He's a leader. He just had to learn to lead in the right way.
Absolutely. Bill Johnson, D-line coach. All right, Coach, couple things more, and then we'll let you go. I know you got a busy day. You got to stand across and watch Joe Burrow in that offense all season long. A, what was it like watching it? And B, what did y'all try to do to stop it?
Well, you know, the one thing I will tell you, you know, the quarterback's so important in the National Football League. We studied quarterbacks up there for 19 years. I was able for 9 years or whatever it was, 8 years at the Saints, stand behind the huddle and listen to Drew Brees talk. I was able to see Jared Goff. I was able to study Brady, all of them, all these quarterbacks in the National Football League. This kid has all those things. He has mental quickness. He throws receivers open. He understands coverages. He has a toughness about him. This guy's going to be successful. And it's like anything else. When you get in a system, you know, that works for that player, then he has the chance to show his talents. And I think the things they did offensively here this year was able to accentuate everything that he has as far as mental quickness, knowing the game of football, leadership, has enough arm to throw all the throws, understands coverages and leverage, and knows where to throw the ball to the receiver. He's an outstanding player, and he's got a great career. And you know, I've seen a lot of quarterbacks, and I'm going on here because there's a lot to this kid.
Sure.
But I just saw 15, or how many games we played? 15 games, was it? We 15-0, I think, right?
Yep, you are.
Okay. I don't think the guy had a bad game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would say this. I've seen Brady have a bad game during the course of a season. I've seen Drew Brees. I've seen everybody have a bad game. This guy did not have a bad game.
And he reserved his...
Go ahead.
And I said he reserved his best for the best as well. He was at his best against the best competition.
Well, great players play their best when their best is needed.
Bill Johnson, brother, look, you and I have known each other for a while, back in the Northwestern State days. I couldn't be happier for you. Man, I'm so excited that you got that national championship and got to celebrate it with another Demon, your head coach, Ed Orgeron. You know we're proud of you at Northwestern State. And, man, enjoy the trip to the White House. Enjoy the offseason, whether you come back or don't come back, whatever. Man, we know it's going to have been a fun ride for you, and we're really, really happy for you, Bill.
Well, appreciate it. And we love the Demons, and go Tigers.
All right, Bill Johnson, defensive line coach for the LSU Tigers. Good stuff, man. Good stuff from Bill Johnson.